Hello, quick video on levelling a scope on a gun. I mean, I think there's a few out there, but this always seems to come up, especially with newer shooters, on how to get your scope level. I use basically my eyeball to just see if it looks right to my eye. I use a couple of mini levels, and then I use a known straight edge. In this case, I've got a plumb bob down the garden. See if I can zoom in. There is actually, you can just about see it, a yellow cord just above the hedge there, hanging off the fence. So it's just a bit of string with a bolt on it, and that's effectively a plumb bob. So what I do is I level up the gun, the action and the stock, and I use the little mini level there, so it's not very clear, until the action and the stock is level, or as level as it can be. Bear in mind, the action inside the stock isn't always 100% perpendicular to the stock, so it could be out a little bit, but again, you just use your common sense, use your eye. To me, it looks fairly straight, and I think it's good enough for the purposes of leveling a scope. So as best as I can, I level the stock with the action in it, and I've got a little mini level on there. Then I put the scope on the mounts, and I get it where I want it, left, forward or backwards, so I've got decent eye relief. I put the mounts on, but I don't really tighten them up, and then I shoulder the rifle a couple of times just to see if the eye relief is okay. Can I actually see through the scope? Once I'm happy with the position of the scope, it's not too far forward, it's not too far back, I then level it by eye again, and then I put another little mini level on the scope. Now obviously you need a flat surface on the scope to put the second mini level on. So on here, the actual turret is pretty flat, so I just put a mini level on there. So now I've got the stock and the action level, I've got the scope reasonably level, and then what I do is I literally look through the scope up against the plumb bob. Now this is the hard bit, because I've got to try and get this in view. So I don't know if you can see that, but there is the, try and get this lined up, but the reticle, the vertical line of the reticle is pretty much matching the plumb bob. So using all three things, using my eye, using the mini levels, using the plumb bob, it's pretty much level. You know, it might well be out a degree or two, but for the purposes of shooting an air gun at typical air gun ranges, it's going to be fine. You know, I mean, if it's slightly out, you can start introducing cant, but it needs to be out a fair bit for that to really make an effect. So just as a general guide, do it by eye. If you've got some little mini levels and somewhere flat on the gun and the scope, use your mini levels and use a known straight edge. So it could be a door frame, it could be lining up the mortar in those brick joints in the wall, it could be a lamp post, it could be a shed, anything that you think is fairly straight and level, you can use that, and then hopefully you'll get your scope mounted and reasonably level. That's how I do it. Other people do it different ways, and I'm sure there'll be comments, oh, you don't need to do this, you don't need to do that, and I do X and I do Y. That's how I do it. Use your eye, use some mini levels, use a plumb bob or a known straight edge. Job done. It literally takes 5 minutes. Okay, cheers, bye.